The upcoming gathering triggers a surge of self-reflection and anxiety. She must present herself as the perfect partner, navigate Ryan's subtle controlling tendencies, and hide the intensifying stirrings of attraction she feels for Ethan. The juxtaposition of these competing forces, her sense of duty, the desire for approval, and the magnetic pull of unresolved love, creates a deeply charged emotional landscape. Narrative techniques, such as inner monologues and fleeting observations, convey Sam's growing awareness of the divergence between her life's facade and her authentic desires. She notices herself replaying memories with Ethan, feeling a pang of longing when recalling his laughter, warmth, and unguarded honesty, all while preparing to navigate Ryan's structured and socially curated world. This internal tension sets the stage for conflict, creating stakes that are both personal and social. Sam must reconcile loyalty, societal pressure, and the truth of her own heart. By highlighting these layered challenges, the story positions readers to empathize with her struggle, feeling the weight of her choices while anticipating the inevitable confrontation between desire, duty, and emotional authenticity. The inciting incident unfolds at a company gala, a glittering setting meticulously designed to reflect success, prestige, and order, the very ideal Sam has spent years aligning her life with. The event's ambience is opulent. Crystal chandeliers cast sparkling light across polished floors. Colleagues chatter over champagne flutes, and soft music floats above the hum of strategic networking. In the midst of this carefully curated world, Sam stumbles upon a devastating truth. While navigating the crowd, she inadvertently overhears Ryan engaged in a conversation that exposes emotional manipulation and hints at a minor affair. Every detail, his casual tone, the smirk that betrays nonchalance, the subtle deflection when he mentions certain encounters, pierces her constructed reality. Sam's initial reaction is visceral. Her breath catches, her heart pounds, and the familiar world she has meticulously built collapses into disbelief and hurt. The gala, previously a symbol of stability and accomplishment, now mirrors the fragility of her life, highlighting the contrast between appearances and hidden truths. Through narrative focus on sensory details, the warmth of champagne slipping from her fingers, the distant laughter of oblivious colleagues, the weight of her engagement ring suddenly feeling like a chain, the story immerses readers in the depth of Sam's shock. This revelation acts as a catalyst, shaking the foundations of her commitment to Ryan and forcing her to confront emotions she has long buried. The tension is not only personal but public. She must navigate her turmoil in a space where appearances are paramount, magnifying the stakes and deepening the reader's investment in her response. Amid this turmoil, Ethan's presence becomes a pivotal emotional anchor, subtly heightening the story's tension. As Sam reels from the revelation, Ethan notices her distress across the room. His approach is measured, quiet, reflective of his empathy and long-standing connection with her. He does not confront Ryan directly or intrude upon her pain. Instead, he offers a steady, comforting presence, a hand lightly resting on her back, a reassuring glance, the unspoken understanding that he is there without judgment. This moment intensifies the forbidden emotional connection between them. For Sam, Ethan represents both a safe harbor and a reminder of what her life could have been: authentic, passionate, and unconstrained by societal expectations or calculated appearances. The contrast between Ryan's betrayal and Ethan's empathetic support amplifies her internal conflict, highlighting the emotional vacuum in her engagement and the longing she has suppressed for years. Flashbacks to previous moments with Ethan, late-night study sessions in college, shared laughter during spontaneous adventures, quiet conversations where vulnerability was welcomed resurface in her mind, interweaving past intimacy with present turmoil. Narrative techniques focus on micro-expressions, fleeting touches, and shared glances to convey the complexity of their connection without explicit acknowledgement. ensuring tension remains subtle but deeply felt. This encounter escalates the story's central conflict. Sam is confronted with both a betrayal and an alternative emotional path, forcing her to evaluate her desires, values, and fears. Ethan's supportive presence, juxtaposed with Ryan's deceit, illuminates the stakes. Choosing emotional truth may bring fulfillment, but it also risks upheaval, public scrutiny, and personal uncertainty. Confronted with the dual forces of betrayal and emotional awakening, Sam faces a pivotal choice that will define the narrative trajectory. The gala, once a backdrop for polished appearances, transforms into a crucible for her decision-making. Continue the charade to preserve societal and familial expectations, or act on her newfound awareness, accepting the chaos that may follow. The narrative emphasizes her internal struggle. Fleeting images of Ryan's charming smile flash against the stark recollection of his manipulation, while Ethan's calm, understanding presence whispers of a life rooted in honesty and emotional resonance. As she contemplates her options, Sam becomes acutely aware of the public setting, the eyes of colleagues, clients, and acquaintances watching, unknowingly amplifying the pressure to maintain decorum. In a moment of quiet, deliberate rebellion, she walks out of the gala, leaving Ryan amidst the celebration. This act is symbolic. It is not a dramatic confrontation, but a subtle, controlled declaration of autonomy, signaling her refusal to silently accept betrayal. Her exit, though understated, communicates layers of defiance, moral clarity, and the prioritization of self-respect over appearances. The scene closes on a tension-laden beat. Sam steps into the night, emotionally raw yet resolute, leaving Ryan behind as a symbol of the crumbling facade she once clung to. By crafting the inciting incident in this way, the narrative disrupts the status quo, propelling Sam into a new emotional and ethical landscape, establishing the stakes and driving momentum for the unfolding drama. Readers are drawn into her internal and external conflict, anticipating the ripple effects of this public yet deeply personal act, setting the stage for a story rich with moral complexity, desire, and consequence. As Sam navigates the weeks following the gala revelation, the cracks in her engagement begin to widen. Ryan, unaware of the depth of her suspicions yet subtly controlling in his behavior, exhibits minor manipulations that gradually feel suffocating. These are small, almost imperceptible actions, adjusting plans without consulting her, passing off his needs as non-negotiable, or subtly questioning her judgment that together erode Sam's sense of agency. Each interaction becomes a study in emotional tension. Her mind, once confident and logical, is now a battlefield of conflicting feelings. She recalls moments where Ryan's charm masked possessiveness, his affections conditional on compliance rather than mutual understanding. The story emphasizes micro-interactions, a tight grip on her hand in public, the dismissive tone when she voices concerns, or the forced smiles she offers while internally simmering with frustration. These small behaviors are significant because they reflect the underlying imbalance in their relationship and mirror the betrayal she recently uncovered. Sam's emotional equilibrium, once maintained by structure and routine, is disrupted, forcing her to question not only her engagement but also her long-term life choices. The narrative focuses on her internal monologue, capturing her growing awareness of Ryan's flaws and the disparity between societal expectations and personal fulfillment. This tension serves as a catalyst, compelling her to evaluate the authenticity of her commitment and igniting the conflict that will draw her toward Ethan. By highlighting the gradual erosion of trust and increasing emotional suffocation, the story establishes a foundation for moral and relational dilemmas that drive the narrative forward, immersing readers in Sam's mounting anxiety and frustration. In stark contrast to Ryan's controlling tendencies, Ethan's presence becomes a source of both comfort and forbidden temptation. The narrative delves into moments of quiet intimacy that escalate the emotional stakes. Shared lunches in hidden corners of the city, long conversations about life and ambition, and fleeting touches that communicate volumes without words. Each encounter is charged with tension. Their mutual longing simmers beneath the surface, almost unbearable in its intensity. Ethan's empathy and attentive listening create a safe space where Sam feels seen in ways Ryan never allowed, highlighting the emotional void in her engagement. These interactions are carefully nuanced, balancing proximity and restraint. A brush of hands as a coffee cup is passed, a hand lingering for a fraction too long. The slight lean in as they converse, small gestures that hint at deeper desire while maintaining a veneer of propriety. The story emphasizes Sam's internal conflict during these moments, her heart yearning for connection, yet her mind warning of potential chaos if boundaries are crossed. Flashbacks to their college days, late-night conversations, shared laughter, emotional vulnerability intertwine with the present, reminding her of the authenticity she once experienced and intensifying her longing. As their relationship deepens emotionally, the forbidden nature of their connection heightens suspense, forcing Sam to navigate guilt, desire, and fear simultaneously. The story opens with Samantha, Sam Carter, a 27-year-old ambitious lawyer, sitting alone in a sunlit cafe, a setting chosen deliberately for its warmth and everyday intimacy. The morning light filters through the tall windows, casting a soft glow on the polished wooden table where Sam's phone rests, a silent portal into her social and emotional world. The reader immediately feels her solitude, yet is drawn into her private space, witnessing her vulnerability in a seemingly mundane moment. As Sam scrolls through her phone, her eyes land on a photo that jolts her attention. Ryan, her fiancé, laughing with another woman at a recent party. The image is innocent to an outsider, yet it sparks a visceral reaction within Sam, a mix of jealousy, confusion, and an inexplicable tightening in her chest. Her mind races as she analyzes the subtle expressions, the tilt of Ryan's head, the ease of the other woman's laughter, and it plants the seed of doubt. The cafe's ambient noises, coffee machines hissing, distant chatter. Soft music contrasts sharply with the turmoil swirling inside her, heightening the reader's sense of immediacy and empathy. This opening beats not only as a visual cue, but as a psychological trigger, showcasing Sam's fragile emotional state, her perfectionist tendencies, and her deep attachment to Ryan, setting up the internal conflict that will drive the love triangle. By starting the story with this intimate yet emotionally charged moment, readers are pulled directly into Sam's world, feeling her heartbeat and the pang of suspicion before any dialogue occurs. Her reaction is subtle but intense, the micro-expressions of her furrowed brow, the slight trembling in her hand, the delayed exhale of disbelief all establish a credible, emotionally resonant hook that captivates from the first line. Before Sam can fully process her unease, the cafe door swings open and Ethan, her longtime friend and secret love, steps inside, bringing with him an immediate shift in the room's energy. Ethan's presence is a stark contrast to the photo-induced anxiety she just felt. He carries an unspoken familiarity, a history embedded in shared laughter, late-night conversations, and unacknowledged attraction. Their eyes meet across the room, and a quiet, electric tension lingers, palpable enough for the reader to sense the unspoken history between them. Every detail of Ethan's approach, the way his gaze flickers momentarily toward her engagement ring, the hesitant curve of his smile, the subtle stiffening in his posture tells the story of guilt, longing, and emotional restraint. Sam's reaction is equally layered. Her heart races. Her mind floods with memories of what might have been, and a complicated sense of guilt and desire churns beneath her professional composure. This moment elegantly introduces the love triangle, layering conflict without resorting to overt melodrama. The narrative stakes are heightened. Sam is torn between her duty to Ryan, the man she plans to marry, and the unresolved feelings she harbors for Ethan, who represents both temptation and emotional truth. Their brief, emotionally charged interaction, perhaps a few exchanged words, a shared glance that lingers too long, serves as both exposition and tension builder. It hints at past intimacy, emotional chemistry, and ethical dilemma, compelling the reader to invest in the unresolved story between them. By staging this encounter in a public yet intimate setting, the author captures the delicate dance of attraction, moral restraint, and personal history, creating a tension-filled tableau that lingers long after the cafe scene as Sam sits back, her engagement ring catching the sunlight in a moment of symbolic resonance. The narrative shifts inward, offering a window into her conflicted psyche. The glinting ring is more than a piece of jewelry. It represents a promise, societal expectation, and her carefully curated future, yet it now feels heavy with doubt and irony. Sam's inner monologue races. How did she arrive at this juncture of jealousy, desire, and moral ambiguity? The reader is privy to her layered thoughts, the tension between loyalty and suppressed longing, and the crushing weight of an unspoken attraction to Ethan. Her gaze alternates between the photograph on her phone, the empty space Ethan has vacated, and the engagement ring on her finger, each visual cue reinforcing her emotional turmoil. In these quiet, introspective beats, the story deepens. Sam's conflict is no longer just about a suspicious image or a brief cafe encounter. It's a meditation on her own choices, past compromises, and the fear of confronting truths she has long avoided. Ethan's unintentional yet potent intrusion has disrupted her equilibrium, leaving her grappling with both desire and duty. The subtle confrontation, perhaps a lingering word, a strained smile, a fleeting touch of the past, remains understated yet emotionally loaded, signaling that the tension will extend beyond this single encounter. By closing the scene with Sam stepping out of the cafe, staring at her engagement ring, and whispering, "How did I get here?" the narrative achieves a powerful hook. It encapsulates a moment of self-doubt, moral ambiguity, and the promise of a deeply human, emotionally charged journey. The reader is left suspended between curiosity and empathy, compelled to follow Sam's journey through the tangled web of loyalty and desire that will define the unfolding drama. Samantha, Sam Carter, is introduced as a consummate perfectionist, a lawyer whose life is meticulously structured and ruled by logic, discipline, and societal expectations. Her upbringing in a strict household emphasized stability, achievement, and the avoidance of risk, instilling in her both admirable resilience and a restrained emotional life. From an early age, she internalized the belief that feelings must often be subordinated to duty, and that personal desires are luxuries to be deferred. This foundation explains her attraction to Ryan, a fiancé who represents security, social prestige, and predictability. Yet it also illuminates the tension simmering beneath her polished exterior. Through subtle narrative cues, her precise morning routines, the careful arrangement of her wardrobe, and her professional interactions, readers sense both her competence and the personal sacrifices she has made to maintain control. Flashbacks to her college years provide pivotal insight into her connection with Ethan Parker, her best friend and secret love. During these formative years, Sam experienced the raw, unguarded intimacy of friendship and the first stirrings of romantic longing. A particular memory stands out: a late-night conversation under string lights, laughter spilling into the quiet campus where Sam realized that her heart leaned toward Ethan. Yet, constrained by fear of instability and parental expectations, she chose the path of security with Ryan, burying her emotions under carefully constructed layers of pragmatism and self-discipline. This duality, her responsible, outward-facing persona versus the heart quietly yearning for freedom, forms the emotional core of the story, allowing readers to empathize with her internal struggle while setting the stage for future conflicts between desire and duty. The supporting cast further complicates Sam's emotional landscape, each character representing a different facet of the life she navigates. Ryan Mitchell, her fiancé, embodies wealth, charm, and a socially acceptable path. At first glance, he appears ideal, attentive, sophisticated, and deeply invested in curating the perfect image of their life together. However, subtle behavioral cues reveal a more controlling streak, a need for order, an insistence on appearances, and a tendency to avoid emotional depth or vulnerability. While Sam appreciates the security he offers, she increasingly senses the limitations of a relationship built on image rather than emotional authenticity. Ethan Parker, in contrast, presents a free-spirited counterbalance to Ryan's rigidity. As a photographer, Ethan navigates the world with creativity, empathy, and a willingness to embrace imperfection. His presence is a reminder of the life Sam might have had, spontaneous, emotionally rich, and true to her desires. Their friendship, rooted in shared history, is layered with unspoken love, tension, and intimacy that Ryan could never offer. The narrative uses flashbacks to illustrate their deep bond, college adventures, confiding secrets, and moments of mutual support that left lasting impressions on Sam's heart. These memories intensify her current internal conflict, reminding her of the emotional warmth and authenticity she misses in her engagement. Through these relationships, the story juxtaposes security versus passion, control versus freedom, and societal expectation versus emotional truth, creating a dynamic emotional terrain for Sam to navigate. Readers are drawn into her moral and emotional dilemma, sensing the growing dissonance between her carefully curated present and the life her heart quietly craves. With Ethan. Sam's single quotes, "As present life is a delicate balancing act, fraught with external pressures and internal unrest. Her professional responsibilities as a lawyer demand precision, long hours, and emotional fortitude, often leaving her little space to confront the deeper feelings that Ethan evokes. At the same time, familial expectations weigh heavily. Her parents, steeped in traditional notions of success and stability, continually reinforce the idea that she must maintain appearances and prioritize security over passion. These pressures intensify when she receives a formal dinner invitation from Ryan's parents, an event symbolizing societal and familial expectation in its most tangible form. This dynamic illustrates the duality of human longing, the pull toward authentic emotional fulfillment versus the constraints of societal and relational expectations. The reader is drawn into this tension, empathizing with her vulnerability while sensing the growing inevitability of a boundary crossing moment. Amid these intensifying emotional currents, Sam faces external pressures from her family that amplify her internal conflict. Her parents, emblematic of traditional values, urge her to proceed with marriage to Ryan, citing reputation, social standing, and financial security. Their admonitions, delivered with warmth yet laced with expectation, exacerbate her sense of entrapment. She is caught between familial duty and her own emotional truth. The narrative highlights her guilt and anxiety as she begins to lie to cover interactions with Ethan, texting him in secret, leaving work early to meet, or concocting minor excuses. These acts, though seemingly innocuous, weigh heavily on her conscience, intensifying the moral complexity of her predicament. The tension reaches a near breaking point during a vulnerable moment alone with Ethan, the atmosphere thick with unspoken desire, his eyes reflecting understanding and longing, hers trembling with conflict. As the moment stretches, she nearly succumbs to a kiss, teetering on the edge of a choice that could irrevocably alter her life. Yet fear of consequences, societal judgment, betrayal of family expectations, and the potential collapse of her carefully constructed life pulls her back. This near transgression serves as the scene's emotional apex, crystallizing the stakes. Her heart is drawn to Ethan, Yet the chains of duty, reputation, and fear restrain her. Through rich internal monologue, subtle physical cues, and layered emotional beats, the story captures the suffocating tension, moral dilemma, and relational stakes. The reader witnesses Sam's struggle to balance desire with responsibility, understanding that the choices she faces are not simple, and that each decision carries profound personal and social consequences. This sequence propels the narrative forward, escalating suspense while deepening character complexity and relational conflict. The climax ignites when Ryan discovers Sam's growing emotional bond with Ethan, shattering the fragile equilibrium of their engagement. The confrontation takes place in the high-stakes setting of a corporate event, a venue brimming with colleagues, clients, and observers, intensifying the pressure and stakes. Ryan approaches Sam with a controlled aggression that slowly escalates, his voice shifting from accusatory calm to sharp indignation as long-buried insecurities and resentment surface. He questions her loyalty, citing moments of secrecy, subtle glances, and recent absences, his words a mix of betrayal and intimidation. The narrative captures Sam's internal turmoil through sensory detail, the pounding of her heart, the tremor in her hands, and the heat rising to her cheeks as she balances the dual pressures of public scrutiny and private heartbreak. Simultaneously, flashbacks to her interactions with Ryan once loving, now controlling contrast sharply with the authenticity she feels with Ethan, highlighting the emotional and moral stakes of her predicament. As accusations fly, secrets long suppressed emerge, including Ryan's own manipulations and betrayals, forcing Sam to confront the depth of their incompatibility. The tension between them reaches a crescendo, layered with years of unspoken frustrations, emotional suppression, and societal expectation. Through sharp dialogue, internal reflection, and micro-expressions, the story immerses readers in the emotional chaos of this confrontation. Sam is no longer a passive participant. Her awareness of her feelings for Ethan and her frustration with Ryan's controlling behavior fuel a growing determination to reclaim agency over her life. This opening stage of the climax establishes the stakes, preparing the emotional groundwork for the twist that follows. The tension escalates further when Ryan, sensing the inevitability of Sam's emotional detachment, unveils a shocking threat. He threatens to sabotage Ethan professionally should Sam choose to leave him. This revelation is a pivotal narrative twist, heightening the stakes beyond personal heartbreak to include external consequences and moral complexity. The threat introduces a pressing ethical dilemma. Sam must weigh her own emotional truth against the potential harm to someone she loves. The narrative emphasizes the intensity of this moment through Sam's sensory and emotional reactions. Her breath catches, her mind races, and a swirl of anger, fear, and frustration threatens to overwhelm her. Flashbacks to Ethan's kindness, empathy, and unwavering support intensify the contrast between him and Ryan, highlighting the emotional authenticity she has been craving. The corporate setting amplifies the stakes. The public visibility of their confrontation mirrors the broader societal and professional pressures Sam faces, making every choice weighty and consequential. Her internal monologue captures the collision of rational thought and emotional urgency, reflecting her moral struggle, the desire to protect Ethan and assert her agency versus the fear of external fallout. This twist is crucial because it crystallizes the conflict. Ryan embodies control, manipulation, and societal expectation, while Ethan represents freedom, authenticity, and love. By presenting this duality in an emotionally charged and high-pressure environment, the narrative compels Sam and the reader to confront the costs and rewards of her choices. The stage is set for her pivotal decision, the moment where emotional truth and moral courage intersect. Defining the story's turning point, the climax reaches its emotional crescendo as Sam, overwhelmed by anger, grief, and relief, finally acknowledges her feelings for Ethan aloud for the first time. The act of vocalizing her truth is cathartic. Tears stream freely, her voice trembles with intensity, and a mixture of vulnerability and empowerment courses through her. In that moment, the public setting becomes a backdrop to her personal liberation. Colleagues and guests sense tension but remain peripheral to her internal revolution. Ryan's attempts to intimidate her falter in the face of Sam's newfound clarity. The narrative emphasizes her embodied transformation, hands trembling yet resolute, shoulders squared, and gaze unwavering. Each emotional beat rage at Ryan's manipulation, sorrow for the years lost to pretense, and relief at embracing her authentic desires collides in a visceral, unforgettable moment. Sam's decision to walk away publicly, leaving Ryan in the midst of the corporate event, signals both defiance and self-assertion. It is a symbolic act of breaking free from constraints imposed by expectation, manipulation, and fear. Outside the event, Ethan waits, a quiet counterpoint to the chaos inside. Their hands meet in understated solidarity, a gesture of mutual support and love that contrasts with the confrontation they've just left behind. This moment crystallizes the narrative arc. Sam has chosen emotional truth over security, authenticity over societal expectation. Through rich inner reflection, dialogue, and careful attention to microexpressions, the story captures the full weight of her transformation. The scene delivers the emotional explosion that defines the climax, providing resolution to long-simmering tension while propelling the narrative toward the fallout, consequences, and eventual resolution that follow in subsequent chapters. In the resolution, Sam's journey toward empowerment begins with tangible changes that symbolize her regained agency. She decisively ends her engagement with Ryan, severing ties with a relationship that prioritized control and appearances over emotional authenticity. This act is not merely symbolic. It represents a reclamation of self, a conscious choice to prioritize personal values, freedom, and fulfillment. She moves into a new apartment, a space that is uncluttered, sunlit, and reflective of her personality, organized yet warm, professional yet inviting. The narrative emphasizes her intentionality in crafting this environment, carefully chosen furnishings, a small bookshelf filled with meaningful reads, and personal mementos that signify identity and growth. These details serve as visual metaphors for her internal transformation. Alongside her physical relocation, Sam immerses herself in her career, taking on new legal challenges with renewed focus and clarity. The juxtaposition of her professional competence with her personal liberation underscores the dual nature of her empowerment, mastery over both her external and internal worlds. Through descriptive prose and internal monologue, readers witness Sam embracing uncertainty, navigating her life on her own terms, and finding satisfaction in independence. Her newfound confidence is subtle yet palpable, manifested in the way she carries herself, approaches her work, and interacts with colleagues. By anchoring empowerment in concrete actions, the story conveys growth as both practical and emotional, allowing readers to feel the weight and significance of Sam's transformation. This step into independence lays the foundation for a life defined by choice rather than obligation, demonstrating the rewards of courageously breaking free from societal and relational constraints. As Sam rebuilds her life, relationships that nurture rather than constrain her take center stage. She reconciles with supportive family members who recognize her courage and celebrate her decision to prioritize personal truth over convention. Their acceptance is both comforting and validating, reinforcing the narrative theme that love and respect are strongest when rooted in authenticity. Interactions with friends, especially Ethan, reflect a balanced, supportive dynamic. They are present without pressuring her, offering empathy, encouragement, and companionship rather than rushing toward romance. Ethan's role is crucial in this arc, providing emotional scaffolding as Sam explores her identity and aspirations. Their shared moments-long conversations over coffee, quiet walks through the city, or collaborative brainstorming sessions for legal strategies underscore mutual respect, patience, and understanding. The narrative highlights Sam's growing confidence in expressing needs, setting boundaries, and seeking support when necessary. These interactions also allow her to process lingering guilt, disappointment, and residual anxiety, translating emotional awareness into practical action. By maintaining professional integrity in the face of Ryan's manipulations, Sam demonstrates that personal growth does not require abandoning ethical standards. Instead, it flourishes alongside them. Through richly detailed dialogue, subtle physical cues, and introspective passages, readers experience the transformation of Sam's relational landscape from one dominated by control, manipulation, and expectation to one characterized by mutual respect, honesty, and support. This development reinforces the story's central theme. Empowerment is not only internal but also relational, achieved through connections that honor authenticity while fostering growth and healing. Culmination of Sam's empowerment arc is both internal and external, blending emotional healing with tangible professional success. She begins journaling regularly, a practice that allows her to articulate thoughts, process complex emotions, and reflect on the significance of choosing herself over societal pressures. Each entry captures moments of insight, gratitude, and resilience, documenting her journey toward self-knowledge and emotional equilibrium. Journaling functions as both a narrative device and a symbol of autonomy, illustrating the deliberate reclamation of her inner life. Simultaneously, Sam channels renewed focus and determination into her legal career, taking on challenging cases that test her intellect, skill, and moral judgment. One pivotal case, in particular, serves as a metaphor for regained control. She navigates complex legal hurdles with composure, strategy, and empathy, ultimately achieving a successful outcome. This victory is not just professional. It symbolizes the culmination of her growth, reflecting her ability to assert agency, make informed decisions, and honor her principles under pressure. The narrative emphasizes the integration of personal and professional triumphs, illustrating that empowerment is multidimensional and interdependent. In her interactions with Ethan, she maintains balance, enjoying emotional support without surrendering autonomy, underscoring that healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect and patience. By the end of this arc, Sam embodies a fully realized sense of self-emotionally resilient, professionally competent, and relationally mature. The combination of reflective journaling, strengthened relationships, and career accomplishment provides readers with a satisfying resolution, reinforcing the story's central message. Courage, self-awareness, and integrity create a foundation for lasting empowerment and fulfillment. The scene opens in Sam's cozy new apartment, a space that mirrors her emotional transformation, warm, uncluttered, and filled with the subtle markers of independence. The lighting is soft, casting a gentle glow over bookshelves, framed photographs, and a small plant on the windowsill, a quiet testament to a life intentionally curated. Sam sits alone on the edge of her sofa, her engagement ring resting between her fingers. The act of removing it is deliberate, slow, and deeply symbolic. It signifies more than the end of a relationship. It represents her conscious decision to reclaim autonomy over her life, her values, and her desires. As she places the ring in a small box, her emotions swirl in a quiet crescendo of relief, sorrow, and liberation. The narrative emphasizes the sensory and tactile details of the moment, the cool weight of the ring in her hand, the soft click of the box closing, the faint rustle of paper as she adjusts the note tucked beneath it. A soft smile touches her face, a gesture that conveys both acceptance and self-compassion. Internally, Sam reflects on the journey that brought her here, the betrayals endured, the moral dilemmas navigated, and the courage required to break free from societal and relational constraints. Through her introspection, readers witness the culmination of her internal arc, understanding that empowerment is not sudden but built through layers of self-awareness, action, and resilience. The quietness of the scene reinforces the intimacy of the moment, allowing readers to connect with Sam's emotional state deeply, sensing both the vulnerability and the strength that coexist in her decision. After this private moment of reflection, Sam takes a final conscious step toward closure. She sends Ryan a brief message. The tone is measured and devoid of malice, conveying maturity and emotional control. "We've grown apart. I wish you well," she types, each word weighted with finality and calm resolve. This gesture is symbolic. It communicates boundaries, acknowledges past experiences, and releases lingering resentment without inviting further conflict. It is an act of empowerment, illustrating Sam's ability to assert herself while maintaining integrity and grace. Shortly afterward, Ethan arrives, carrying coffee, a simple yet intimate act of care that underscores the depth of their bond. They share a quiet, meaningful glance, brimming with unspoken understanding, mutual respect, and the promise of honesty and patience. The narrative focuses on the subtlety of this interaction, the soft exchange of smiles, the brief touch as hands brush, and the warmth in Ethan's eyes that reassures Sam of emotional safety. This moment contrasts sharply with prior tension-filled interactions, highlighting the evolution of their relationship. It is a reminder that true connection does not require haste, drama, or coercion. It thrives on mutual support, empathy, and patience. Through this understated yet emotionally resonant beat, the story illustrates that healing and intimacy are processes, not events, and that choosing oneself does not preclude meaningful relationships. By pairing the act of closure with Ryan and the quiet reassurance from Ethan, the narrative reinforces the dual themes of independence and connection, showing that Sam's empowerment encompasses both personal boundaries and relational authenticity. The closing scene frames Sam at her apartment window, looking out over the glowing cityscape. The twinkling lights mirror her renewed sense of possibility, freedom, and hope. She whispers softly to herself, "I chose me," a mantra that encapsulates her journey from doubt, betrayal, and constraint to empowerment, self-awareness, and peace. The narrative lingers on her face, capturing the layered emotions she embodies, calmness tempered by lingering vulnerability, satisfaction interwoven with relief, and optimism colored with quiet strength. The city below serves as a metaphor for the world she now approaches with agency and clarity, vast, full of potential, and open to her choices. Through vivid sensory detail, the chill of the evening breeze brushing the window pane, the soft hum of distant traffic, the warm glow of her apartment lights, the story immerses readers in the intimacy of her reflective moment. This final image reinforces the catharsis of the arc. Sam has reconciled her past, acknowledged her feelings, and embraced her autonomy without bitterness or fear. The lingering camera focus, almost cinematic in its precision, allows the reader to inhabit her perspective fully, experiencing the profound sense of emotional closure and triumph. By concluding with this visual and emotional tableau, the narrative leaves a lasting resonance, emphasizing that empowerment, peace, and hope are attainable through self-awareness, courage, and intentional choices. It signals the culmination of her emotional and relational journey, affirming that choosing oneself is both an act of liberation and the foundation for authentic connection, professional fulfillment, and personal joy. The story closes on a note of reflection, strength, and open-ended possibility, leaving readers emotionally fulfilled while imagining that continuing life Sam will build on her own terms.